Hey guys, Mako here. So, I made an investment, and if you can't tell from the sound, I bought a mic, uh, a slightly expensive mic, but I got a mic, and now I think it sounds alright. Well, it's better than what we had before, which was a goddamn built-in laptop mic, so I'd say this is going in the right direction. I want to increase the production value, so because the last video I was very very surprised as to how many views it got. I was very happy that a lot of people wanted to hear my opinion on SMT1, and so now I beat SMT2 and wanted to make a video like that, but I didn't want it to sound like absolute ass this time, so I just looked on Amazon, looked on a cheap, decent enough mic on sale, and I got it. It cost me like 50 quid. Hopefully it sounds Gucci. But, nevertheless, let's move on right onto the video. What am I talking about here today? Well, it's SMT2, as I said. And I beat it like 3-4 days ago, from the time of recording this, roundabout. And oh boy, that game. Oh, it's arguably better than the first one. I really liked it too. The story was way more grander than the first one. Although I do prefer the vibes of the original with it being the real world after the apocalypse. I do enjoy the setting of the second game, in where you're in the final dungeon of the first game, but it evolved into like a massive a utopia of its own. I like that. And the game just keeps dropping bombs left, right, and center throughout the entire thing. I really like this story. And I really like Aleph. He's a really cool protagonist. I really like the guy. And it just dropped so many good bombshells. It shocked me that the story was just as interesting as it was. It's hard to imagine that this was the SNES era where they came up with such insane ideas. But yeah, I really enjoyed the entire story. I'm not going to ramble about it too much because I think this is even better than the first game, and I really want people to play it. So I would really recommend, if you have the time and if you have the desire, please give SMT2 a shot. Now, I would say probably try and beat SMT1 first, because it is a direct sequel, and a lot of things, carry on. There's a lot of little things that, there is in the second game that you will get if you played the first one. But regardless of that, what did I think about the gameplay this time? It was way better, way more streamlined, and actually had some challenge to it, at least in bits and pieces. It was still not as hard as I was expecting it to be. I was expecting them to iron out some kinks from the first game, but they didn't. There's a lot of cheesing you can still do throughout the game. You can be very OP pretty early on. And I spent a lot of time just grinding in the beginning of the game. Just because, I don't know, I just feel like grinding in games sometimes just to make it easier for myself. And I think I overdid it in this game, because I kind of steamrolled through the entirety of it afterwards. But the bosses themselves are kind of tricky. Some of them are actually kind of hard, compared to the first game where they were a joke. However, one thing about the gameplay that I want to mention is it's not really directly gameplay, it's about the translation patch. So, the thing with the translation patch is that I want to mention is that the first game had an initial translation made by Aeon Genesis, right? And then Orion made a second patch for that patch to fix some of the translation errors. So that didn't come out for SMT2, so there's a lot of weird names for things in SMT2. Like, instead of Mabufu, for example, let's just say Mabufu, right? Instead of Mabufu being called Mabufu, in the Japanese version, it's actually called Mahabufu. So that kind of threw me off, because I was like, wait, Maha, that's not right. That shouldn't be. Like, so there's a lot of little weird translation issues, like Zio isn't Zio, it's Geo. It's I guess it's just more direct translations that way in the second game. It's a good translation, don't get me wrong. Overall, I think it was done really, really well. The story is 100% really well translated, in my opinion. Good job on the team. But yeah, there's a lot of weird things like that. But back to the gameplay about cheesing. If you have a buff, you basically already won. Like a demon that has like Tarokaja, you already won, because you can steamroll everything after that. As usual, you can stack that shit to like 5 times, and then boom, you can kill everything in like 2 turns. Although there is a weird glitch that I encountered near the ending portion of the game that kind of pissed me off, not gonna lie. It was where, I don't know what it was, but after I buffed like 3 or 4 times, the buff would break my damage. So instead of doing like 200 damage, so I buff. So listen, I do 180 damage after like 2 buffs. I buff one more time, I attack, and damage is like 18. So this that confused the fuck out of me. So after that, I had to fight Yahweh, goddamn, on 2 buffs, and that took a while. But I did it eventually. It was fine. One thing I want to say about Yahweh, the final boss. Spoiler alert, it's God. I'm pretty sure it's one of the more known things about Megami Tensei is that the final boss of the second game is Yahweh. But a very disappointing final battle. Not the story itself. I found the battle, like the dialogue and everything itself, really good. I found it really fun. But the battle itself, it was pathetically easy. What the fuck? Like the Satan battle before God, that was harder. That was actually harder. Like, I didn't even have anyone die in the battle, I don't think. No, I had one. I think I had Metatron die. No, was it Metatron? I can't remember. I had one of the demons die, because I think he cast some insta-kill spell. And even if they died, I could just use Samarakan. I think I had it on one of the demons. But yeah, generally, a really easy final boss that I was like, that's a little disappointing. I wish I would have had something more to show for my accomplishment of finishing the game. I guess I still can say that I beat Satan. Satan was a kind of a difficult boss. Maybe not difficult per se, but it was a long boss. Both of them were long bosses, but just Yahweh didn't pose much of a threat, to be honest. But yeah, the plot point about the mother, Aleph's mother, that really like grabbed me. Like, oh, this is good. This is enticing. I really like that. There's a lot of little things like that throughout the game, a lot of little story bits that make it way more like, it's easier to get into the story than the first game. Because in the first game there was a lot of empty little filler bits. Because there was. I'm not too sure how much of that was optional content that I accidentally did, but there was a lot of like random weird stuff in the first game that just didn't feel that important. Now, something that I didn't mention in my last video, and I kicked myself over that because I just forgot to mention it. I forgot to mention the music. Holy shit, how did I forget to mention the music? So obviously I don't think I need to say, but the music is incredibly good. Megami Tensei games in general have some of my favorite music in anything ever, honestly. Like, I listen to some of these tracks in my spare time for fun. They're really, really, really good. like the 3D Mackay world. That is such a good track. Holy shit! And it's from SMT2. I specifically don't, but I don't really like the SMT2 version on the SNES version at least of that track. I prefer the SMT-if version and the PS1 version of SMT2's Mackay world, 3D Mackay world. There's a lot of tracks like that I feel like got improved in the later installments, but this soundtrack in general, oh my god! The first time I heard a lot of these tracks was actually in SMT Imagine. I haven't played SMT Imagine when it was new. Don't get me wrong. I played it on the fan server. I need to get back into that because that was really fun. I liked SMT Imagine, but yeah, a lot of the music really like got reused a lot for a good reason. This OST is amazing. Whereas when I think back to SMT1, there is a few standouts, yes, but SMT2 has way more. I prefer the OST of the second game way more than the first because the boss music in SMT1, great. The battle theme, great. Occasional area themes like Kichijoji and Ginza, great. I love them. But I feel like overall there isn't as much as there is in SMT2. SMT2 has a way better soundtrack. So for that alone, I feel like a lot of people should just experience that game because I really like that music. But yeah, after finishing this game, I feel like this game is way easier to get into. Like I feel like if you're a guy that played the modern Megami Tenseis, the Personas and everything, this game isn't gonna be like hitting your head against the wall quite like the other games, like Megami Tensei 1, 2, and SMT1. Not to say anything about SMT1, I really like that game. I said that before, but it has a curve. You know, you have to jump a hurdle that you have to jump over to get into. Whereas I feel 2 is way more to the point. It's way more easier to get into, in my opinion. It's just good. It's just really good, and I just can't recommend it enough. I really recommend SMT2. I mean, honestly, that should, I would say, even this should be like your first like classic one you should get into, honestly, because this is it's just such a good overall experience, you know. But yeah, what else is there to say? SMT2, really good game. That's my opinion of it. Am I gonna give it a score? No, I don't give scores. I don't care about that stuff. And it's not a review. This is thoughts and opinions, right? Like the last one. I wasn't actually sure what the last one was gonna be when I was doing it. I just kind of winged it. Whereas now I kind of have a clear idea of what I want to do with this content, and I kind of want to make these sort of videos for just a lot of things that I play. Just when I beat a game, I want to go on my computer and just talk about it to people. I have fun doing this, and the engagement I had from the few people that watched my last video, that was amazing, and I really liked that. Honestly, like after like my last video, I got a big motivation boost to make more of these because this is fun to make. Because the thing is, I talk to myself all the time about shit, and no one's gonna hear it, and it's just gonna be in my head until I forget about it. Whereas this way, everyone can hear my opinion, and we can discuss and, you know, have fun talking about these things that we're into, right? So yeah, I appreciate everyone that watched my first video and looked forward to this one. That you're the real MVP. And I've only like this is that second real produced video, and I've already improved my mic quality substantially. So I'm very happy I did that. But yeah, next video I want to make probably is I want to make a Tales of video, you know? I'm really into the Tales of franchise as well as Xeno. It'll be either between a Xeno game or a Tales of game. Now, because I want to take a little break from SMT, I say that, but I'm actually playing a certain SMT game right now as well. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a very niche one that people don't usually tend to talk about because there are barriers to get to be able to play it. But I'm gonna just try to brute force my way through it and experience it because I really want to, because it's a really cool one. and it's a shame we don't have that one in English yet. I hope it happens soon. I hope someone makes a translation patch, or Atlas just decides to localize it. Again, I'm not saying what it is. Maybe you can figure it out, maybe you can't. But yeah, that game is going to take a while probably to beat. So I'm going to play that a little bit. But before that, I'm probably going to make a video on a Tales of game or a Xeno game, because I have played those for a lot of those games for the past like a year or two. I've played a lot of the games in in those franchises, and I really want to voice my opinions on them too, because I own like an entire collection of every Xeno game, which is, you can imagine, a lot of money I sank into that, as well as Tales of games. I think I own almost every single Tales of game that was released in English. I even now own quite a number of them in Japanese. But yeah, I'm really into those franchises. I don't know, Kingdom Hearts. Do I want to make a video about Kingdom Hearts? Yeah, that'll be pretty cool. I like Kingdom Hearts a lot. But yeah, I'm not gonna be rambling too much about it now, because, well, when I make it, I'll make it and upload it. But yeah, like, thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great day, night. Go to sleep. You're probably staying up late. Go to bed. And see you next time. See ya.